Another harrowing tale of utter brutality. This story plumbs the depths of darkness contained in the human psyche. We open in Romania in 2002. A woman is heading home after picking her wayward daughter up from the club. Daddy's on the phone, so you know she's in trouble. But Sanda clearly needs Dr. Phil as she declines to take the call with no remorse whatsoever. Of course, when they suddenly veer off the road into a pole, she mommies up real quick. Mother goes out to see if she has a dude stuck in her grill, and since not, they attempt to leave. But something strange seems to be wrong with the engine, so she takes a look while encouraging Sanda to try to get it started. However, she eventually stops responding to her daughter's call because she's gone. Sanda goes to investigate despite getting no callbacks from Mamo. Mama. Although she does eventually from a strange man. She tries to find protection inside the van, but whoever's out there has the key fob and plays a little door lock game with her. She attempts to call the police, but is put on hold as the rain begins to come down. There are a variety of playful distractions presented to her from outside the vehicle, only to learn that at least one person was inside the van with her the whole time, and he kills her. We then transition to a school in Bucharest at the end of the day where we find Clementine, a new teacher adjusting to the new environment. After putting in a full and enriching day of tutelage, she heads home where she and her boo plan a quiet night with a bottle of wine. But an ominous tone is struck as we see her drive past the scene of the prior night's brutal double homie, before turning off onto the road leading to her secluded cottage, which seems cozy, I guess. She heads back toward the greenhouse where they plan to set up their grow operation and finds Lucas wrapping up for the day. They playfully head back into the main house where they race to the only functioning bathroom, putting Lucas at risk of evacuating into his pants. They then enjoy the dinner Lucas made, which sucks and is thoroughly unenjoyable, and cap off the evening with some good old-fashioned entertaining broadcast television. It's about enough to put them to sleep, except they get their nightly barking visit from a local stray dog, which can only be silenced by Lucas venturing out to give it a little nibble. Later, with the rain gently tapping at their window, Clem heads downstairs for some post-coital schoolwork. Growing sad that her students seem to not be learning anything, she welcomes the distraction of the phone, but when she answers, there's nothing but a strange noise from the other end. She then redirects to a little self-care, soaking in the tub before donning her virginal white sleepwear to finally turn in. A couple of hours later, she wakes up to the sound of music pounding somewhere off in the distance. She wakes up Lucas, but the noise has subsided. Regardless, she insists they go downstairs to see what it was. When they look out, it's noted that her car seems to be in a different location than it was before. So Lucas emerges from the house and requests that anyone out there identify themselves, or else. When the headlights come on, he insists Clem stay still, just in case it's a T-Rex. But whoever it is revs the engine at him playfully before backing down the road. Inside, Clem calls the police to report the theft, and notes that they had to have been inside the house in order to get the keys. They try to put this out of their minds and relax with a couple of drags. But then the power goes out. Well, seems like we just need to go flip the main switch real quick. But when flipping switches does nothing, Lucas realizes he actually has no idea what he's doing. Then Clem notices a flickering light from upstairs. They duck down to avoid being cast in its glare, and when it seems safe to do so, Lucas takes a peek outside. They're then confronted head-on by a reverse peeping Tom, who helpfully closes all the shutters for them. They head upstairs for a better view, but can't really see much. That's all good because their focus is soon shifted to a series of loud banging noises emanating from downstairs. They hide near the bed and listen as the stray dog is silenced outside. Then everything turns back on at once, indicating they're inside the house. Naturally, Lucas decides to go downstairs to check it out. After closing Clem into the room, he heads down, but his detection abilities are somewhat limited by the blaring television. He turns it off so he can hear better, and also to give away his position. He then ventures out, sometimes cautiously, sometimes loudly, with hook in hand, but the intruders remain one step ahead of him at all times. He makes the mistake of lingering in an open void, vulnerable from all directions, and is hit by a swinging door that inserts some glass into his body. As he stumbles back up to the room, Clem has a battle with the doorknob, which she loses, and then nearly gets her eye put out. Lucas makes it back and they manage to eventually get the door open. Then, as the intruders bang around in the hall, he insists that Clem pulls the foreign body from his leg. When the intruders try to get into the bedroom, they head further in toward the bathroom for safety. Here, Clem clambers into the attic to try to find an exit, but it's mostly just old, dusty Christmas decorations. Lucas calls out to her, but the familiar ratcheting noise going off nearby causes her to pause and quietly duck back among the detritus. This is followed by footfalls and eventually feet. She holds position until he begins to aggressively rearrange her stuff, causing her to take off like a jackrabbit into the plastic sheeting portion of the upper house. While functional for a remodel, I bet they didn't realize the aesthetic would also be so atmospheric for an eventual home invasion. She steers clear of any noises she hears and narrowly avoids getting her face pushed in with a 2x4. Then we get our first full view of an intruder who's hung up on making his creepy noises, not expecting Clem to act immediately, dumping him over the railing onto his big dumb head. As he works to shake off the concussion, his partner begins climbing the scaffolding to where she at, so she rushes back the other way toward Lucas, hoping the coast is clear with their assailants behind them. They successfully duck away and circle back so they can make it out the front door and lock it from the outside. This buys them some time as they hobble off into the woods, but Lucas has a tough time on the rough terrain, and they're kept in a heightened state by the constant garbled bird noises that keep popping off behind them. They eventually come upon a fence that Clem scales easily. Lucas can't make it, and he's panting and moaning like a muskox in heat, which is likely attracting unwanted attention, possibly from a horny muskox, so he convinces her to go on without him while he hides in the brush. Clem makes it a good distance, but the flashlights are still right behind her. She tries to hide, but they're zipping around from all directions, making their cute little noises. When she takes to jogging again, she soon finds her trusty automobile and approaches slowly. She chooses to commit fully to this plan, but is unable to locate the keys before the gentleman arrives. Then we circle back to Lucas trying to find a way past the fence. Apparently, all he needed was to hear Clem scream, because when he runs off in that direction, he's out in the open woods now. He gets there just in time to see the taillights disappear, but then finds the car stopped a short distance further up the road. He grabs a branch of sufficient size and heft and approaches slowly, finding the car empty but with a hooded figure nearby. He picks his moment and pounces, bludgeoning him until hearing the satisfying crunch of his skull giving way. He's shocked, however, to roll him over and discover he's just a young mad lad, so he leaves him without ensuring the kill, and instead goes off in the direction of Clem's intermittent screaming. This leads him to a sewer, and as the noise becomes more consistent, he has an easier time finding his way deep into the catacombs. The tunnels eventually lead him to a chamber where a couple of straight-up kids are experimenting with torture, one delighting in Clem's despair and the other suggesting he stop since she can't breathe. Lucas decides to step in and help him understand physical trauma. Then they're ushered away by the seemingly innocent one to a hiding place away from the incoming lights. He guides them around and then up a ladder, where he takes the chance to start tap dancing on Lucas's knuckles, eventually knocking him to the floor below. Clem can only share a brief farewell glance before he's dragged off by the heathens. Alone now, Clem ventures deep into a narrow cavern which she tries to use to her advantage. However, when the boy feigns innocent again, despite what she just witnessed, she hesitates long enough for him to get out of the way of her incoming boulder. She continues running and then crawling toward a light that, when it comes into full resolution, reveals itself to be a gated storm drain exit under a highway. As the traffic drives by, oblivious to her plight, she disappears. In the warm light of morning, we see the kids exit the woods and hop on the bus. Another successful night of productive play now behind them. After the screen goes black, we get some true story closure as screen text reveals the bodies of Clem and Lucas were found 5 days later. The murderers were arrested shortly thereafter, with the group's age ranging from 10 to 15, the youngest of them lamenting how stridently the couple resisted playing with them. Well, that was brutal, but if you're looking to go deeper than that, be sure to check out this video next. Now that we're here, I want to congratulate you for making it to the end of the video and affirm that you are a very special person because of it. And if you enjoyed the video, I would love for you to become a part of the channel by subscribing. Thanks for watching.